We got some tough spotlight cash decisions coming up, not just in the next couple days, but in the next few weeks. And you know they're going to be good ones coming in October too. So in this video, we're going to try and help you decide whether you should open caches or should you look to spend some tokens. I've got a tier guide that should hopefully help in making that decision. Let's check it out. This is my last version of the tier guide. This does not update for what's happened with Mobius because I actually want to talk about it. I started editing this and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to because I think it's important to talk about where you should spend tokens and when you should open spotlight caches because where these are ranked is not an indication of how good a card is. It's really about where you would be best served in spending tokens versus caches. Obviously, based on everyone's collection level, that varies. So at the end of the day, you've got to think about what you've got, what you need, how you play, and then use something like this to help make that decision. So in this specifically, we've got easy skip, good niche, solid, and save for. That's the general concept here. In easy skip, we've got the Ravana week with Zabu and Jean. In the same week, we've got Mobius, Kang, and TBD. Now, right now, we have not seen what that TBD is. Everything's been data mined so far. So these are all just sort of guesses. They could change it at second dinner, but we're just going to roll with it regardless. And again, talk through some things. Lady Deathstrike, honestly, at the end of the day, maybe could have dropped down to easy skip, but the other two cards sort of carried there. Jeff, which we'll talk about this week, is kind of on the line of solid and good niche. And then we had X23 and Silver Samurai in solid. I think the Silver Samurai with Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man 2090, I think that could actually probably drop down to at least the Jeff level, potentially now maybe even a good niche. I think it's an interesting card, but I don't feel like it's playing a huge role quite yet. X23, Nebula, and Silk, all fantastic cards. Arguably could be moved up a slot. And then for the save for, we've got Alioth, Hitmonkey, and then of course Snowguard's still there, but you know, whatever. It's Alioth by itself is a fantastic card. I know Hitmonkey's fallen off, but I think everybody's going to want Alioth. A big factor in all these too is Series 4 versus Series 5. Series 5 costs 6,000 tokens. Series 4 costs 3. So I typically rank the Series 4 cards as something you will never want to spend a spotlight cash for. You would rather use your tokens on those Series 4 cards that are coming out as opposed to getting a spotlight cash. Now, that's a perfect transition to dive in to the first one. So again, is in easy skip. Now, I know this probably upsets people. I've had this happen several times while talking about it. Zabu's a great card. Jean Grey's a solid card. Ravana is probably going to be a decent card. Well, why isn't the spotlight ranked higher? She's Series 4. Zabu's Series 4. And Jean's not strong enough to carry this up any higher. If Jean was like an insanely good Series 5 or even like a super serviceable one, I'd say yeah, but she's just not doing a whole lot right now. It can be good and you can win and lose some games with it, but she just hasn't found her spot yet. Zabu may never drop. If Zabu never drops, yeah, this would be ranked higher because you'd want to maybe get Ravana and Zab, but we don't know. And second dinner hasn't told us that. So for me, I don't buy into FOMO. I'm not a FOMO type person. I'm like, look, until we know something, I'm like, maybe it drops, maybe it doesn't. But Zabu by himself, could he carry this up higher? Maybe. But I just think when I'm looking at Ravana Renslayer, I'd rather spend tokens to buy her. I'm just going to spend tokens to get her. I'm not going to stress about these other two cards, even if I don't have them. Now, if you're dying for Zabu and it's the only card and you want Ravana, okay. Hopefully you can get it in the first try or two. It would just feel really bad if it took 3 to 4 attempts on a week like this. All right, this Mobius one. You know what? Actually, for Mobius, we're going to save that to the end because that needs some attention. So we talked about Lady Deathstrike. That's obviously is what it is. That's already over. X23, Nebula, Silk. Again, I don't think there's really anything to talk about there. I think it's a solid week. It's fine. And then we just got done with the finishing the Silver Samurai Kitty Spider-Man week. Again, I think this one could have dropped down. Now, the Alioth week. I talked about this. I think this card is going to be a monster. Absolute monster on the game. I think everyone's going to want it. I think it's going to be huge for Galactus type players. Cosmo is going to come into play because it's an on-reveal. But it's all about really trying to make sure you get Alioth because it's 6,000 tokens. Those are a lot harder to get. And, you know, look, Hitmonkey, a lot of people didn't have. Yes, would it stink to get Snowguard? Yes, fine. It stinks to get Snowguard. But you're not going to have 3 amazing cards in any spotlight. There's going to be a risk-reward situation with every single one of these. If you think it's going to be any different, I've Sorry, it's just never going to happen. That's not how these things work. Any type of sales type industry, you're not going to get a guaranteed choice. Like, no matter what door I pick, I win. Awesome. Yay. It's just, you're never going to get that. So I absolutely think that this week you should really want to save for. There are going to be some crazy plays with Goliath. I think it was smart for them to make this card a little bit more expensive and not a turn 5 play, because a turn 5 play and an Absorbing Man play on turn 6 would have been just broken. And frankly, I think this is solid. Now, I think there's still some opportunities with magic and some power generation or energy generation to be able to play this card earlier and still have fun with Absorbing Man. But I think in general, this is just a card you have to have. It's going to destroy stuff. I mean, you can't have armor and Cosmo everywhere. You can't. So this could potentially lock down a lane for you. And I think it's huge. Hitmonkey used to be super strong. I think even if the variant, okay, I get a cool variant for Hitmonkey, and we already talked about Snowguard. Now, let's first go to, well, first remember, we've got Jeff this week, and we've got Ravana, Mobius, and Goliath coming. So this week, that's what this video is about, right? This week, what are we going to do with this? Well, first, if you've got these cards, then you don't have anything to decide. You're either opening or not based on variants, right? Now, let's just say for a second, you've got Null, and you don't have Ghost Spider and Jeff. Okay, well, I really might as well just say I have Ghost Rider Null, because you're only going to open this if you need Jeff. Now, if you don't have Jeff, Ghost Spider, and Null, maybe. But, and obviously Ghost Spider's the old graphic, I know that. But Null is good. He's solid. He's a critical piece to the destroy puzzle. Jeff is a fantastic card that goes almost anywhere. I've got this sort of on the border because while I love Jeff, you know, Null and Ghost Rider, it's like, well, do you play Destroy? Ghost Rider, honestly, is like arguably the worst season pass or one of them. We'll see how Loki does. I'm a little worried about him. I think that he might be right up there as the worst season pass, maybe along with her. But so then it's like, well, do I really want Null? Do I really need Jeff? I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's a good card. He helps. He goes everywhere. But like I said before, they're not going to put great cards in here. Now, Null is the other good card here. If you don't have Null and you don't have Jeff, I think it's fine to pull for this, long and short. I think it's fine. But again, what about Goliath? Are you saved up for Goliath? What about down here, you know, which we'll get to in a second? You've got this card here where you've really got to make a decision on, do I want to get Jeff or not? Do I really want him that bad? Or should I spend 6,000 tokens on it? You know, how am I going to go back and forth between, well, you said 6,000 tokens was too much. That's what you use spotlights for. It's like, yeah, you're right. But do you have Ghost Spider? No. Are you only going to use that for Jeff? So you could look at this week as sort of a Jeff week. Jeff is the new card. He's the Series 5 card that, you know, you might want to get. I wouldn't be surprised if they leave Jeff in Series 5 forever. It's just that good of a card. And if that's the case, this might actually be a good week to pull. All right. So we talked about Ravana. We talked about a lot. Let's talk about Mobius. Mobius. I think, okay, so I'm going to keep with my thing is if he's Series 4, you do not pull for this. Just buy him with tokens. Plan your month ahead. Buy him for tokens. Skip Ravana if you have to. Mobius needs to be with everyone. I thought, wait, would Trump Mobius? It does. Mobius is literally going to be everywhere. Everywhere. I would not be surprised if this turns into a 2-2, potentially a 2-1. This card is going to be used so much. It is so impactful to the game that everybody is going to need to have it. So really at the end of the day, especially given the fact that I'm saying like it's going to eventually get changed because it's going to come out too strong, you've got to be okay with, do I want to spend tokens on something and have it changed? Or do I want to spend spotlights on something and have it changed? That's up to you. Now, if Mobius is a Series 5, spotlight. Absolutely, this shoots all the way to the top of the charts. Absolutely safe for this, no doubt about it. I don't care if you've got Kang. I don't care what this other card could be a rock, and I'd still be like, pull for it. Pull for Mobius. You want to get Mobius, and that's it. It's that simple. Now, if he's Series 4, I think it's a little different. I talked in my other video about thinking this guy needed to be Legion. This guy meaning this variant here or whatever this one's going to be, because we don't know. And I'd love to know more from a second dinner, but you know, they've got to keep information guarded, etc., or they might be changing it. I think that this card could be, if this was a Legion and Mobius was Series 4, I think this could be a good week to pull for a Series 4 if you do not have Legion. If for some reason you skipped on Legion, I think this would be a great week to pull. That would be one of the rare occurrences that I would say a Series 4 card is worth putting spotlight caches into. Otherwise, I just think, no, you don't want to do it. But you want, regardless of this tier list, regardless of how many tokens you have, Mobius is a card I really, really think, even at a 2-1, everybody's going to want to have and need. Echo maybe plays into effect here. I don't know. Maybe more people are going to counter with Echo, but again, just don't play your Mobius. again, I can't say it enough. That is good. So that's 1 week. So that's 2 weeks now. We've got Mobius, we've got Ravana, we've got potentially Jeff, and we've got this week where we got Eliath. So that's a lot of work happening in September. And that's where it comes as like must saves, easy skips, stuff like that, because I try to factor in, well, how many tokens and spotlights are everybody going to have? Because it's not going to be that much, right? So looking at the like high level view here, I mean, there's a lot to pick from. And so again, with Jeff, is Jeff such a huge deal that you'd want to miss out on Mobius and Eliath? Potentially Ravana? I don't know. That's really up to you and how many spotlights and tokens you have. But what I know is even if I had limited tokens and limited spotlights, I would be eyeing Mobius and I would be eyeing Eliath. And I would want to make sure through whatever mechanisms I have, money, tokens, gameplay, spotlights, that I would get both of those cards. I could live without Jeff. I could potentially live without Ravana. But those two cards I need to get. And the reason that Mobius is at the bottom is because he's Series 4. And you could spend 3K tokens there. And the reason Eliath is at the top is because he's more expensive and you're going to want to use spotlights for him. So you can save your tokens for future Mobiuses that come along. If you haven't been doing this, and this is the first time you've watched any of my videos, subscribe. Hammer down the like button. Because I've been trying to preach stuff like this with this graphic. Everybody always says, oh, it's stupid, it doesn't make sense. Well, a lot of times if you don't use spotlight caches on Series 4 that are good cards, like Mobius, you can save those spotlight caches for your Elias. You can use your tokens for Mobius. It could just work out. So that's all we got. I just wanted to chat about that a little bit. Hopefully this helps you with deciding whether you want to open or not. I absolutely think that September is going to be a fantastic month. As far as opening for Jeff or not, he's a good card. But if you're limited and you're really wanting this month, do not pass on Mobius and Elias. That's ultimately what I think it comes down to. Ghost and Null I think aren't really, Ghost Spider and Null I don't think are necessarily huge factors in it. It's really about Jeff. It helps if you don't have Null to pull this week, but Ghost Spider is not a non-factor in my opinion at all. So go ahead and pull for Jeff/Null if you want, but don't let it cost you Eliath or Mobius. Regardless of spotlights or tokens, whatever, you're going to want those cards. So if you found this video helpful, please consider hammering down that like button, notification bell, share with your aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, all that sort of thing. Until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.